All right, so people want to complete leverage buyouts. I want to help you complete them. And I can see it in the market today. There are a lot of people that are attempting these and they don't know how to get them done. And so what they end up coming across as is tire kickers or just people that aren't serious about buying a business. And the truth is they are serious. They really want to do a deal. They just don't know how to get it over the finish line. And so one of the things that's happening is there are a lot of people that are just getting information. They're getting a little bit of piece and they have an idea, but getting a deal done in reality is a lot of times different from kind of hearing about some different concepts that you may hear about online. So I want to give kind of this comprehensive overview of leverage buyouts. This is part one, and then we'll get into some other concepts in part two. So when it comes to structuring these leverage buyouts, what I find is people will reach out trying to get it done. And it's almost like they're reaching out and just kind of hoping that things are going to come together. So, we participate, we do deals and from a lot of different vantage points. Obviously, from Good Merger, we're acting as an intermediary. So we see both sides in those deals, and all of the merger specialists are kind of working, maybe representing one side or the other, but you're still interacting. And, every day in the chat, we're kind of talking about those deals that are going on. Quick congratulations to Jay, who just got a signed LOI and SBA approval today. So that's always really cool. But when we're talking about those things, there's all of these dynamics between the buyers and the sellers. And a lot of times what you see is a buyer that's coming in and they get put into that category of being not serious or a tire kicker because they just don't know what they're doing. And at the end of the day, just in general, the world of mergers and acquisitions is vast and complex. I mean, even within my world, we're doing deals from a lot of different vantage points. I mentioned the merger, but I've got my own personal portfolio of deals. I've got private equity funds that we're at different points in process. We've got Heavy Seven that's just now getting rolled up, and we're taking them through their first kind of example deal. We've got, a couple other ones that are shutting down and not shutting down, but just it's coming to the end. The fund is coming to the end point. So we're selling the assets that are in those. We've got Acquisition Holdco, where we've got a bunch of people, about 24 folks that are out doing all kinds of really cool creative deals. And so we just see things from a lot of different perspectives, and that's just my orbit. So when you look at kind of the 3,000 foot view of like mergers and acquisitions, it's just vast, it's complex, but it's one of the things that I love because it's kind of this fascinating space to play in. And then you add in this concept of being able, just the possibility of being able to do a leverage buyout is really, really interesting. If you're somebody who's trying to purchase a company, just knowing, people do this, people do get these deals done, and I don't have to put up all the money. So even if you have to put up some of the money, that's a really incredible thing to be able to buy a business that has everything you need, the employees, the assets, the marketing, everything figured out, but most importantly, the profits, so that you can buy literally the income that you're looking to make. So if you're somebody who feels like, all right, I want to go out, I want to find the target company, but how do I get the money to close that deal? A lot of times people think about loans, but it's just getting the access to capital to be able to close that deal. If you're somebody thinking about that, welcome to the world of leveraged buyouts. And that's what I want to break down with you in this little short series. So the strategy, I feel like it's a big part of being able to pull this off is being able to do sales. I think some people don't want to admit this, but you basically have a bunch of people, not a bunch, you have several different parties, and the better you are at sales, the easier it is to get the parties that you need on board with the deal and being able to close the deal. So, if you can get that seller, if you can sell them on giving you as much capital as possible. If you can sell an investor on being able to help you with a down payment, you can sell a loan company on giving you access to the loans. Each one of those, really a lot of it comes down to being able to leverage certain sales tactics. And what we train in Acquisition Holdco is actually building a funnel for those people and getting really vigilant about having access. It was a talk that I just gave last night in the Acquisition Holdco meeting, where we're going over like, all right, like you should always be getting access to capital. So this forgoes all of the other things that are important. I mean, you've got to kind of have a keen eye to be able to decide which deals are good, which ones are bad. You've got to have some kind of business acumen. But the real thing is being able to focus on how to structure the deal. Once you've got all of those things, those are just the natural things that have to be done. But in addition, obviously, you've got to understand some of the structures and some of the ones that are commonly used. And this is just so that you're able to get creative, because I realize, like, even at the basic level, some people aren't understanding that there's foundations to this, and you've got to understand the foundations in order to be able to work your way up to being able to do the more complicated things. And so the structure I want to go over today, and we're going to basically over the course of kind of this series, I want to go over with kind of 5 different what I call the foundation structures to kind of what you want to build on top of if you're going to creatively complete a leveraged buyout. So the first one is the direct leveraged strategy. So I feel like this is just the most straightforward and probably the easiest structure, and it's basically just doing a direct LBO. Typically, a direct LBO is going to be using debt. You're not having to get a bunch of individuals involved. You're finding an institution that is willing to put debt into, based on the assets of the company, they're willing to put the debt into the deal. So you, as a deal maker, rather than using your own money, you're borrowing, and preferably your firm is borrowing, your company or your acquisition holdco is borrowing a significant part of the purchase and then using the assets of the target as collateral. Now, once you acquire the business, then you're not paying that money back. You're literally using the cash flow of the business to pay that back, and then you've got a structure so there's enough left over to pay yourself. Now, that's the simple version of this first structure. Now, how do you get creative with this? How you get creative with this is using the same strategy to start to separate out certain assets. So if you're able to separate out certain assets, then you can get different types of loans on those assets to get the total amount of the deal. Because here's the problem. If you're trying to do a complete leverage buyout and you're trying to get 100% finance deal, and I think this is so important because I talk all the time. I don't want zero down businesses. I'm not trying to get zero down, because what people are looking for most of the time then is some sellers willing to just like give away their business. Most of the time those are bad businesses. I want a really great business where the owner has a bunch of people that want to pay top dollar, because that is a great business. And I've learned over the years it's better just to get the capital for that. So what I'm not looking for just like a zero down. I'm looking for a deal that is so good that I can get institutional money to be able to get 100% finance. And the deal on the money is so good that I'm able to still make money on the income. And again, this isn't my preferred structure for all deals, but if I'm going to use structure number 1, which is the most simple, what I'm going to do is have a certain amount of the deal that's going to be financed based maybe on the cash flow portion of the business. And so there's a lot of things you can do there, merchant advance and that kind of thing. I've done deals where we use factoring, which is accounts receivable, which is a separate asset. I've done deals where we have some equipment, done deals where it's kind of the overall business. And so what you're doing is separating these different loans out, because no one loan is going to give you the 100%, right? So whatever the asset is that they're willing to lend against in this, kind of most basic structure, whatever it is, they're going to want to give some lower LTV, some lower loan to the value of that than the whole value. And so, you may have the rare deal where there's an asset in that business, and based on a multiple of the business that the seller's happy with, you're willing to, that they're willing to finance that asset, and this equals out to what the seller needs. And that can happen. We're working on a deal right now where they've got so much inventory that could be a possibility. But typically, you're going to cobble together these different portion of this. Now, like I said, we're going to get into building on top of this. So there's kind of 4 layers on top of this. If you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. If you're not in the Patreon, obviously you should be in the Patreon. It's the easiest way to get access to hundreds of lessons. It's $25 freaking dollars. So definitely join that. But if you're serious about doing deals, I encourage you to reach out, join our amazing community of deal makers that are a part of Acquisition Holdco, where we walk you through this process and we assign you with basically a team that's helping you find the deals, get the deals done, and all that. And that's one of the reasons that we have such a high success rate in that program. Be sure to be subscribed. I'll see you on the next one.